Hello. What's going on?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Ricnam Podcast, baby.
What is going on?
Nothing much. So I actually wasn't going to tell you until we jumped into this episode what the topic was about.
What's the topic about?
The topic is about how we met.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
How did we meet?
Literally, I was like, you know what? I want to jump into the topic because I wanted it to be fresh on my mind. I kind of had that title, but I didn't have idea. I had to refresh my mind as I'm talking about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, do you remember how we met?
It was, I don't know what day exactly, but I know that I was at my ex-girlfriend's sister's house, apartment, and I got a text message from one of my buddies at the time, and he invited me to this fellowship, and I did not expect that because he always used to invite us to like beer pongs and this, and that. And then I was like, oh, okay, like Bible study fellowship? He said, yeah. So I kept it on the low, told my ex-girlfriend at the time that that old boy invited us to a kickback. I kind of just reworded everything because she was not going to go. And we went. She was down because she knew he was about that life.
Wow.
When we get there, it was a tea shop in downtown Tulsa. And when we get to the tea shop, she's like, why are you bringing a Bible? And I told her, oh, it's a Christian kickback. And at that kickback, Laura was actually in front of me. My ex-girlfriend at the time was to the right, I think. And it was just a long table. My buddy was there. She was thrown off. I put my phone on vibrate. And the Bible study began.
Wow.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah, Benjamin probably remembers more details than I do. But that's all pretty much what I remembered was, so I was friends with a girl named Amira who is leading this fellowship. And we had been friends for a while. And I want to say, I met Amira a few years back before she started that Bible study. And I just remember going to downtown. Like you said, it was All About You Tea House, which is still one of my favorite tea shops till this day. But I don't think that downtown location's it doesn't exist anymore. But I remember walking into this room. So it's like a whole tea shop, the cutest tea shop.
It was real nice. It was
so cute. It had such a nice view. It was right there by the BOK Center for those of you who know what we're talking about. But so basically they had this tea shop, but then we walked into like a conference room, right? It was like they had
it was like a private room that they probably rented out or reserved or something.
Yeah, you could reserve it, which was pretty cool. They'd let you have your little meetings in there. Yeah. So I remember walking in, and did I come with anybody that day?
I don't think so.
I think I came by myself.
You were alone that day. But it was me, Cheetah, Big C was there.
And I could definitely pull pictures for like
Big C.
That's so funny. Way back when.
Amara, Jose DLT, me, Gio, my ex, and I think that was it. It was not.
It was like about 6 to 8 people.
6 to 7 to 8 people. It
wasn't a lot.
It was not too extreme, but it was a good amount of people. We were. It was just enough. And where is he going now?
Oh my gosh.
I'll be right back, y'all.
He always interrupting the podcast. No, he's right there. Okay.
He want to go out again. He's tripping.
No, tripping.
Otis, no. Come on.
Okay, so.
Excuse us, guys.
Basically, so, oh my God, sister.
Otis. Come on.
Sorry, our dogs are be like.
That's the part
girl,
of.
Children. Just trying to get so comfortable. This is just not working out.
But yeah, no.
But anyways, it was more than just what we met, but just kind of how we happened. You know, I want to give a backstory of kind of how Ben and I took place, because a lot of people, when they meet us, they'll be like, how did you meet? And it's kind of like a general vague, but I actually kind of want to go in a little bit of detail on how we like developed a friendship and how we just kind of came to be.
But yeah, no, we were basically... At that point, I was trying to like shift my life around, kind of like walk back into the ways of God and all that. And so I just kind of quit what I was doing, and I just was still with my ex at the time, and we ended up finding a way where we end up parting ways, and I mean after that I still kind of like my attention was trying to like figure out things with my ex. because I mean we were together for a cool minute. But we were hanging out every day. It was all about look at old boy wants the spotlight.
So look at me, look at you.
Basically, we were kind of in that. We were just friends though for a cool minute for like 2 to 3 years, just solid. Nothing exclusive, none of that.
Yeah, we basically just became really good friends after that fellowship. We kind of got to know Benjamin more intimately. Like, how I didn't even know. Do you know how our friendship became established? I know. So that's how we met. But after that, we started like getting together pretty frequently.
I was definitely hanging out with because Gio was coming around a lot, big time, and he was coming through for me spiritually, just accountability, and he was coming through, and we were just kind of fellowshipping and hanging out. He would invite me everywhere because I told him that I needed someone, so I can kind of keep my focus right. And so yeah, he basically took me everywhere. And then it was me, Darvier, and you hanging out consistently.
We developed
and Amara and all of them. We were all like solidly hanging out all the time. It was not like we were at that time. We were not, kind of like.
Yeah.
Kind of like shifting.
So we all became like a really kind of like I would say a 6-person friend group in a way.
No, maybe like 6 to 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we would get together and we would pray and we would worship. And I think during that time.
Trying to sharpen each other type.
Yeah. So at that time, I didn't really have a relationship with God like that, like an intimate one. I think through that fellowship. We were trying to
figure it out.
Yeah. We were learning about Christ. I think they call it like babes in Christ, kind of like when you're a newbie to following Christ, and you just have this discipleship and this accountability. Because I mean, it's a journey and we all start somewhere, but for some reason it was just, I don't know, I'm just looking back. That's why I'm like, wow, this is so crazy of like, this journey has been a long walk, but like, it's crazy just to reflect. That's why I wanted to bring the subject up randomly, because I wanted to talk about the things that went to the forefront of my mind. You know what I mean? I was like, what rings a bell to me in that season,
Yeah, but definitely, sorry guys if I kind of look out of it a little bit. I've kind of been having a little headache this morning and kind of not fully there, but I gotta do my thing. But basically, what I can think of is, so we just started hanging out real intimately. As much as we were all hanging out as that solid group, since we were closer to each other, it was Darvier, me, Gio, and Laura. And then eventually we met our buddy Quay through Laura. Laura met him at the gym. She was working at Gold's Gym, I think, and then invited him. He became to this day, still one of my solid buddies. And yeah, we just started hanging out. Literally, we would hang out.
I think it came to a point where we were all hanging out like every day consistently. Like after we all got out of work, we would hang out together till like 2 to 3 in the morning.
I remember working at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning and going to bed at 3 from hanging out and then waking up. I mean, but we were like, it wasn't that we were just hanging out. We were kind of like fellowshipping, praying, helping each other grow. We were like solidly, I feel like because I grew up in church, but it was not, I was having my first time intimate relationship with God. I was being taught, and it was by young kids, man. We're not kids.
Probably in our early 20s, young
20s,
adults,
still.
like probably from the ages of like 18 to 23, maybe.
But the fact that we were learning at that level from people our age, it was something pretty that it was different. It was super different. We were we were just doing things. So that's how, I mean, Laura and I's friendship was just
strictly
friendship and worshiping God and hanging out. She was my sister in Christ. We would look out for each other. It was 100% that. So people could say whatever they think, but it was that, it was that. So when I broke up with my ex, it was not like I was like flirting with all these girls or none of that. It was strictly
how long do you remember how long after that you guys had separated? After
probably about a month and a half or 2 that we end up, because we did not complete our 2 years being together. I think we broke up around maybe 108.
I remember because Benjamin would always be like, we were together for a year and 8 months. I remember how long you guys were together.
I think a year, 10 months, or probably something like that.
Yeah, a year and 8 months for sure.
A year and 8 months.
You brought that up so many times.
But you know, I really cared about her, you know, and I still pray for her that, you know, that life goes great for her, because, you know, we can't be salty. It's just dumb. You know, I don't want to see her in the street and then kind of feel like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? You know, because you kind of ended it in an ugly way, you know. However it ended. And at the end of the day, you know, I was trying to, you know, fix my priorities and, you know, kind of put God first. And so, yeah, it was me and Laura hanging out, strictly everything. And, I mean, she ended up going to Australia. I ended up going to Dallas with the crew, and we got baptized. And Laura came back. What was that dude that was a poet or something like that? A poet? That you got baptized through? He went to
Clayton Jennings.
Clayton Jennings, and he came over here. Then we were all being here for Laura. I was hanging out a lot with Alize. I can't forget Alize.
I was gonna actually bring her up.
May she rest in peace. She was one of my best buds. So me and her, after me and my ex broke up, I ended up moving into Gio's family's house. Thank God, you know, they looked out for me, and, you know, I appreciate that. And it was me, and I didn't feel alone because it was me and Alize. They were like looking out for us, and they're like, hey, you can stay with us. Even though I had parents and stuff, but they're like, yeah, just stay with us. You can stay in the garage and blah, blah, blah. They just looked out ultimately.
So ultimately, when you separated from your girlfriend, you ended up moving into Gio's house, which is the guy that brought him to the fellowship.
Yeah, I gave my ex-girlfriend my car since when we were together.
Sorry, guys. It's kind of like refreshing because you're going to remember they don't know the backstory. So we kind of, we're trying to include as much detail without it being extremely lengthy.
Yeah, so I was carless at one point because my ex-girlfriend had sold her car, and she, so I gave her my little Honda at the time. Gio gave me, they allowed me to buy a truck off of them. And so that's kind of, we merged our own ways there. And but no, it was just strictly friendship. We were just hanging out. And then what was it?
So basically,
it was just years of that.
Yeah, pretty much consistent
friendship. Hanging
for
out
like at least 2 years.
Hanging out with Chelsea, Chuck.
We hung out with
Anderson.
them
we were just all
fellowshipping
from our friends group to finding different people who loved and shared the same passion in Christ, and that's what it was. It was just that. I mean, it was strictly just loving on each other and helping each other grow.
Basically finding other communities that love Christ too.
And
so basically, I'm gonna jump in right here real quick. So I can't remember what was happening at the time. Do you remember? But basically, I needed someone to talk to. So I reached out to my friend Darvier, and she was unavailable at that time. But she was like, you know who's available? Benjamin. You should give him a call. Available. Yeah, because Ben's always available. He always made himself available to everybody. Like when you needed someone or wanted someone to hang out with, Benjamin was always available.
Come on. Oh, this.
And then, so basically, I called Benjamin one day. And this is already, we're like 2 years into our friendship.
But you were going to Vietnam because you were taking your grandma back.
Oh, that's what it was. Okay, because I was like, I couldn't remember. I was like,
excuse me, guys. I'm gonna just let him free real quick.
He was just out.
I know, but he's
gonna
disturb it.
Okay.
Yeah, just let him do it.
Okay. Are you gonna let her out too then, or she's gonna stay? Because she doesn't like to be alone either.
Go.
Okay. So basically. Oh, yeah. So my grandma was about to get ready to leave to Vietnam, and we were going to. So I live with my grandma my whole life, but that's a whole nother story that I definitely want to go into detail in another podcast. But I live with my grandma. I was raised with my grandma, and it was time for her to go to Vietnam because she wanted to get ready, and she wanted to pass away in Vietnam, essentially. So I knew that time was coming. So I just was like really down, and I needed someone to talk to and someone to confide in. And so I reached out to Darby. I can't remember what she was doing, but she was like, why don't you talk to...
Yeah, because she had called me too.
Did she? She reached out and kind of gave you a heads up. And so Darby was like, why don't you reach out to Benjamin?
Could be wrong.
I don't know. And then I called Benjamin, and then so I scooped Benjamin up. And
at the time, I was at my cousin's house. I don't know what I was doing, but I was at his house. And then, so this is one thing that's important. Even though we all hung out as a big group, I was not still as close to Laura as I was with Gio and Darvier. I used to hang out with Darvier all the time. She was just someone that she would make me open the door for her. She was teaching me she was removing the ghetto from me because I was kind of uneducated.
She
in a lot
was
of ways.
teaching you a lot of etiquette.
She was the
Wow.
etiquette level. She leveled me up. So to this day, I know I
Wow.
don't talk to Darvier as much, but I still hold her dear to my
When
heart.
she comes, we got to bring her on.
Yeah,
you
so
guys would love her.
She definitely put me on to. She just educated me in all ways, made me cut my slangs. If I talk a little ghetto right now, boy, I was on some real ghetto stuff. I sounded like a little Florida.
Benjamin, she was actually teaching you like vocabulary and everything.
She's
wow.
like, that's not a word. And I would be like, oh,
She
Jesus.
corrected Benjamin so
Yeah,
much. She really helped refine you.
Yeah, she definitely
That's
poured
crazy.
into me. So I would hang out with everyone kind of basically in the people who lived on this side of town. Because Quay at this time it was
right?
Quay. Quay was around us too, and then they lived in like West Tulsa, maybe Midtown Tulsa. The rest of them, so Tulsa's made up to like 4 big squares, and we lived on this side of the square. And it was Quay, me, Alizé, Darvier, Gio, me, and Laura. That was our little bam. Out of the whole crew, everyone who lived in their little sections hung out more, you know. We still all got together and loved on each other the same, but we were just this side of town people. And so I had a relationship with everyone deeply. Mind you, I lived with Alizé at Gio's. I lived with Gio. Darvier was always with me. Marquay, me and him shared a passion for music, so we were always doing that. And then Laura would just be popping in, and we all hung out, and they all knew each other the opposite way. But me and Laura were not like interacting as much. We interacted as the group, but we
didn't have our own personal.
We didn't have our own personal
really.
friendship. So that day she hit me up. I was like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. It was strange, but it was like, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, we always hung out as a group, but never as individuals.
As individuals, like I had a relationship with everyone else, but we were always in the same little circle. So yeah, she had told me that. And I remember Laura seemed the real, you can tell she was heavy, you know, that was weighing heavy on her about her grandma. I mean, I hung out with her a few times, maybe, like seen her a few times, because Laura's grandma's old, so she kind of brought her, whenever she could, she would bring her, you know. She's like, hey, we gotta go take my grandma to the restaurant. She wants to go sit there for hours and do nothing. You know, so we would just out of nowhere stop and go do that. And around that time, I talk a lot. We all know that. This podcast right now probably did 60% me, 40 her. And I just stayed quiet and heard her out. You know, it was like, I just knew that wasn't the right thing to do at that time, because that was deep. You know, she told me about her grandpa being in the military in Vietnam, and I was just like, wow, you know, this is...
You heard my story for the first time. That's what it was.
Yeah, I kind of heard her out for the first time. Yo, they were hearing me out like crazy when I first
we knew
met them.
everything about Benjamin.
About
By the
me.
time, like Benjamin, like he said, he's a talker. Boy, we done knew Benjamin from the back, like the back of our hands. We all
For
knew
real.
Benjamin.
I would just bring up the randomest things, you know, like I told them everything. You know, I told them
my
about
gosh,
my
he got
dad.
comfortable.
My dad lives over in Rhode Island. I told them about how many uncles and aunts I had.
Which we will definitely have to fill in
So-
your family heritage.
So they would, yeah,
So
you know, they
story
would.
in itself.
They all wanted to hear about me because I mean I was the new guy in the little thing, so I kind of I was quick to speak about things, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm real. My family's real close knit, you know, and I have a huge family, so that's for another day. So I hung out with Laura. She was just telling me all this, and I was hearing her out, and she drove us to.
I basically drove us to Catoosa.
Catoosa. We were just driving. I had to see.
I basically had nowhere to go, but I just was driving and talking. So I picked Benjamin up, and we go for this drive into like the like into the boonies. Basically, I felt sketchy going.
Was that the first time you went to Vietnam?
No, I had been previously.
Oh, okay.
That would have been my second time. I've been to Vietnam 3 times total. But yeah, so I picked Benjamin up, and I'm just telling him, and I'm just kind of like sharing my story with him basically for the first time ever, which I'll look forward to sharing with you guys in the future. I kind of just fill him in on what's going on and why it was weighing heavy on me. And then I remember because this is basically the moment, and I think we both knew there was something like, I don't know if God's spirit just came down on us, but it was something where we both felt like attracted to each other.
Yeah,
Would that be the right word?
Yeah, so it was like
we were driving, and we remember we both came to the stoplight.
So
right?
we were excuse me, guys, I had an appointment later. So so I told Laura, we were just talking to each other. So like this is the first time we had like deep conversation, you know? We were conversing. That's something that Darvia would always tell me. It's conversing, not conversating.
Yeah.
But we were conversing, and we got to around the Hard Rock area, and then this is my thing. I'm gonna tell y'all from my point of view.
Okay.
Excuse me. She tells me, we're just talking, and then we get to this light, and I'm like, what the heck? Do I like Laura? You know, like I just had that moment, like, what the heck am I like? You know, I felt like I was liking her, like, and that was not. It was not it. At the time, it was like, I didn't think of that. That was nowhere near my thoughts. It was like, yeah, at times there was things about Laura that I liked as a person, that she was like, she kind of reminded me of me in the way how much she looked out for people. And she was just in a better place, you know, like, you know, she already had her things figured out, what she kind of wanted to do. Me, I was kind of searching for the world. So when I saw that, I was like, I always seen little things that I appreciated, and I seen that I was like, I liked about her, basically. And at that moment, I was like, do I like Laura? It was like awkward. It was like real uncomfortable. And then I just kept quiet. But I know it was at that red light by the Hard Rock. That's all I know.
That's all I remember, too. It's pretty,
and then,
yeah, kind of vague.
And then she, I remember we leave it like that. We end up, she goes home. We didn't bring it up. It was just like regular, thank you for talking, blah, blah, blah. And then I had told Darvier what went down. And Darvier was, what? I used to try to bring up all types of girls to Darvier, and she said, nope. So I already knew if I brought up Laura, she was going to cancel that out. Be like, psych, you know, that's not going to work. She already just knew for me.
So at this point, would you say Darvier was kind of like mentoring you?
She was definitely pouring into me. She was mentoring me for sure. But she would always like disqualify anything I brought up to her.
She was correcting you. She was just in a place where she was just kind of giving you sound advice.
Yeah, she was giving me some super sound advice. I was wanting to be with different types of people, but she said, nope, that's not the one.
She kind of was just like,
so she didn't let me further things that she knew that it was not going to be benefiting to me.
Yeah.
But what was funny was this time she said yes. Just why don't you try it? And I was like, what? But whatever. I left it like that. No. That was not yet. I had went to bed, and I had a dream of Laura, and I was like, okay, probably because I hung out with her. You know what I mean? That just happens, you know? And then the second dream, I had another dream of Laura the second night. Like, what the heck? This is a little strange. I'm not, whatever. Am I thinking about it? So I made myself, in my mind, I occupied myself, but for like 6 to 7 days straight, I had a dream of Laura. And the last one was, I think around this time I was wanting to go back to Florida because I was kind of like all over the place. And I saw myself in one of my buddy's cars that I grew up with. And I looked back, I said bye. And when I was in Tulsa, when I looked back and I said bye, I was like, I don't want to leave, you know? I was like, I don't want to leave. Like, what the heck? And I woke up. That was the last dream. I told it to Darvier because I knew she was going to shut me down. That was the time. And she's like, oh, yeah, you should go for it. And I was like, what? Yeah, so she told me we practiced. Imagine I practiced on how I was going to approach Laura. And it did not go nowhere near the practice. I invited Laura to Brahms Ice Cream. And I was like, hey, Laura, I got something to tell you. And mind you, we weren't really even talking like this.
We barely just started having a personal relationship.
Yeah, we were still kind of being personal.
And then when we got basically like had our own personal relationship, like something more sparked up.
And I told her, hey, so I forgot what it was. And I didn't even say nothing. And I went, to throw out my ice cream, and I remember that I skipped
He was
to the trash can.
He was so
I was so
giddy
nervous
that
I was
day.
like, why am I?
I think were you gonna tell me you liked me that day?
Yeah, I didn't tell her yet, but I skipped. Like literally, like I skipped. I forgot how to skip, but I skipped to the trash can, and I like threw it away, like
threw your ice cream
threw
away.
my ice cream away. I looked so like weird about it. Just that's how you know it was awkward as heck. And then I walked back. I skipped there and I walked back, and I looked like a goof. And I tell her, I'm like, hey, so I brought you here to tell you that. So I think I kind of like
He never like admitted it.
never really, you know,
And it wasn't like I love you. It was like I like you, but he had the hardest time disclosing that.
I don't think
the hardest. That junk was so funny because I remember I was like, because I left, I was like, do you like me or you think you like me?
So I told her that I like her. I think I kind of told her I like her, and then I was like, then we eventually, it just stayed. Laura actually said that, you know, let's take it a day at a time. That's all I remember. And then when we left, eventually in the future, I remember I asked her, hey, so when did you realize you liked me? Or kind of had that first feeling. And you can tell them.
Yeah. You got an eyelash in this eye, baby. Okay. So basically that red light was around the same time something really strange came over me. And I was like, do I like Benjamin?
Chupacabra.
It was like so weird. It was like this odd, like, because I had never seen Benjamin in that light. Like, we have always been friends, but it was like something came over me because he had never piqued my interest prior. I've never just considered him. You know what I mean? And I was just kind of like,
that's cold.
no, I'm so serious. It was like,
but I
never,
know. I feel it. That's how. Yeah, no, I feel you.
I never saw you like that, and I was just
we were
kind of
literally
like,
strictly like pals. That's how.
Yeah, we
Lil
were-
Laura used to call me home doggity
like
diggity dog for sizzle my
what's
nizzles
up, bro?
for rizzles.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like, I don't know. It was so weird because
Yeah, it
something literally, when I tell you, it was like something came over me, and it was like, I think God just like was like, it's time. Yeah. It's like I would
That's how
have
it felt,
never
for real.
guessed like meeting that would have been my future husband sitting right across from me at
For
this
real.
coffee
That
shop.
was the
You
wild
know what
thing
I mean?
about it.
It was just like we were being pruned. Sorry, baby. It's that eyelash. It's just throwing me off. We were basically being pruned during those whole 2 years. God was seasoning us and preparing us for each other because when we met, we were two completely different people. You know what I mean? And down the road, we were just getting refined. And it was like years of just God just preparing us for marriage. And we would have never even known.
For sure.
Like, I would have never guessed. Because I was like, at the time, guys, I was single as a Pringle. Like, I was like, God, where is my husband?
And I was single and not allowed to be
Lord?
pringled because Darvia used to say no. And I'm like,
But I don't know, like something came down on me. And so after that, I just felt like, man, I don't even know how much of that story you guys just missed. My camera totally turned off.
that's fine.
But
We'll
I will
put a
have
picture.
I'm like, I'd have to hold the picture off for that point. But anyways, guys, so sorry, the footage is gonna be missing. But what was I saying? That we were strictly friends.
We were
and
strictly friends.
God basically just was preparing us for each other, and we would have never known that. It was like God literally came down on the both of us in that same moment. You know what I mean?
It was the same moment that I was like, oh shoot.
This is like a sign from God because we both felt that overwhelming, like, I don't know, it was like a strange feeling. I can't even say it was peace at the time, but it was peace following.
Yeah.
After that, I just kind of felt like, let me just give this a try.
But
Maybe,
it's not even like we talked about it at that moment. That's what I liked about it. It was like we let it sit. We kind of like went off, did our thing, and then we, you know, proceeded to eventually, once I started liking niggas, liking this and liking, I think I kind of like a, and then
what?
when I was like, I kind of like you, kind of this and kind of that. After that, we kind of
Like you were just kind of still iffy about it.
No, when I told you, I think I kind of like you, I was kind of like
you were still kind of second guessing it.
No, I was not second guessing. I couldn't know how to say it, but after that moment that we talked, that's when we kind of took it slow.
Yeah, because he didn't know if I was interested at the time, right?
Yeah, I didn't know.
So
I
it was
just
kinda
didn't
like,
want to
let
look
me
dumb.
just
I
shoot
told
my
her,
shot.
hey, you don't even gotta tell me that
If you like me or not, yeah.
not. But if anything, just let me know, since it's kind of like premature. I can cut it. You know what I mean? That's what I felt about it. Like I don't want to mess up a friendship type joint.
Yeah.
And we left it like that, and then eventually we got married.
Dang, skip to the point. Yeah, so basically after that, we just kindled a a dating, like it was more of like, what would they say? They were calling it courting. Exclusive courting. So we talked for a while. What did we talk? We started like, dang, baby.
6-month trial.
Yeah, we started talking for like 6 months and then kind of like filling each other out, kind of talking about what we really wanted in a relationship. Are you considering marriage? Like, is your goal to be married?
Then we got marriage counseling from the Howards.
We did end up getting marriage counseling before we got married and everything.
Just to make sure to kind of solidify
where
we were standing.
Yeah, to basically kind of follow up to make sure we were both on the same footing. But yeah, guys, sorry. Like, I didn't realize how long into this. We're trying to keep all of our podcasts kind of short and sweet, not too excessively long, but this is probably past our 30-minute mark. But anyways, guys, so we're just going to leave it right there because Benjamin actually has something he has to go to, but that is kind of a backstory on how we met, right?
Yes, it is.
That kind of fills you guys in pretty good.
But
all right, guys, thank you so much for
hearing us out.
Tuning in, and we love you guys so much.
Love to continue this another day.
And we'll see you guys on our next podcast. Share it, you guys. Oh, yeah.
I would like, comment, subscribe.
Do you remember the 4 things? So there's 4 things you guys can do to help us, and I always forget to inject it somewhere in the video, but it's 4.
Comment, like,
so if you're not yet subscribe.
Ring the notification bell.
Turn on your notification bell so that way it tells you whenever our next video comes out, basically. Comment, leave us a comment down below. You guys, we're open to topics. We're open to discussion. Just tell us, engage with us. You guys, we're sitting here, we're talking to you guys, but we want to definitely make sure we get feedback.
And share with everybody.
And share this video, especially if you find it beneficial to you guys. You know what I mean? Like, we always are trying to grow and reach the right people. So if you guys there's this little arrow that curves this way, and all you do is click that, copy, share link, and then you could post it to your Facebook. You can send it as a text. You could put it via to your Instagram friends. It doesn't matter, but we love and appreciate that, guys, because it just helps get the word out.
But once again, thank you, and you guys have a blessed day.
Have a blessed day. We love you guys. Until next time.
Thank you for watching the Ricnam Podcast.
Ricnam Pod. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye. Deuces.